Hi everyone, this is a quick screencast just demonstrating how to use Google Earth Pro with the 3D models of the proposed Pines wind farm turbines provided by Oberon Citizen Science Network. So first of all, we assume that you found this web page on the Oberon Citizen Science website and have read through the disclaimer, the introduction and the background, just to give a bit of context, and that you have already downloaded and installed the Google Earth Pro software, which is free, available from Google. It's a very straightforward installation, and it runs on Microsoft Windows, Apple Macs, and Linux computers, so just about everything. And that you've also downloaded the Pines Wind Farm KMZ model file that has been prepared by Oberon Citizen Science Network from the link indicated here. And you now have that sitting in a directory somewhere on your computer. So we'll assume all that's done, and we'll just move this out of the way. And here we have the KMZ model file that I've downloaded, and you just need to double click on that. This is obviously on an Apple Mac. It will be very similar on a Windows computer. If you double click on that, then Google Earth Pro will start. And there we are, there's the beautiful Earth, the pale blue dot, as Carl Sagan said, and we zoom in on the Oberon district. I'm not quite sure why the upper part of the map is white on my one at the moment, but we'll ignore that for now. And we'll start by zooming in on Black Springs. So we've provided a number of suggested viewpoints to examine the 3D wind turbine models from, but we'll start with Black Springs. So over here in the Places pane, if you double click on Black Springs Oval, it will zoom in very nicely to the viewpoint that we've marked right there in Black Springs Oval. Now at this stage I'm just going to make this somewhat larger so we're not distracted by all the other stuff on my desk. That's better. Right, so you can see over here in the Places menu, we've got a number of suggested viewpoints from which you can look at the wind turbine models. You're not restricted to these. You can actually go anywhere on the map and look at the models. These are just a few starting points suggested. And then below that, we've actually got 8 sets of wind turbine models. The first one is checked by default. I'll just make this pane slightly larger so we can see the full descriptions. And you can see this is called Reference 8 Megawatt Turbine Wind from the West. So as explained on the web page, the Pines Wind Farm team have only released limited information about the type of wind turbines they are proposing. So we've provided basically 2 models. One is a standard 8 megawatt wind turbine, which is quite large, and it's about 192 meters tall at the tip of its blade arc. But the Pines team have also indicated that they have planning permission for proposing turbines up to 300 meters tall, which are very, very large turbines, bigger than the current largest commercial ones, which are 14 megawatt, and they're about 280 meters tall. So we presume they probably would go for one of those if they were going for larger turbines. But what we've done in the absence of specific information is modeled the same 8 megawatt turbine, but extended its tower so it reaches up to 300, just so you can get an idea of what a 300 meter tall turbine would look like. But until we have better information from the Pines team, we can't precisely model those larger turbines. So in the first instance, I would look at the reference 8 megawatt turbine, which is probably the one that they will propose to build if they stick with the 250 turbines as currently proposed. So if we go through the instructions on the website, first step is to suggest viewing the models from your home or property. We're not actually going to do that. What we're going to do is view the turbines from the air. So this is Black Springs, and we can use the zoom tool. So we're currently in what's called map view or earth view in Google Earth, so that we've got an aerial view about 1,000 meters up, as if we're in a helicopter. And over here we've got a number of tools. So these are the navigation tools. This allows you to, this lower one here allows you to move around. This allows you to look in different directions and look up and down. This little man, the peg man, you can drag down to get the street level view or the terrain view, and we'll do that in a second. And this is the zoom tool, and you can zoom in or out. So we're actually going to zoom out a bit just to get a bigger perspective. And we still don't see any wind turbines, but we know that a little bit to the east of Black Springs, we'll zoom out a little bit more. And now you can start to see, here we are, wind turbines dotted across the landscape here. Now these 3D models are to the correct scale. So this is the actual size of an 8 megawatt reference wind turbine, 192 meters tall, as it would appear in this landscape. So these are in no way exaggerated. They're not larger or smaller than real life turbines would be. And we can zoom in and you can see the turbines from the air. This is a sort of helicopter view. Just while we're here, we can look at the different turbine models. So you notice we've got them from different wind directions because these horizontal axis turbines typically turn to face the wind to maximize their efficiency. So by default, we've set the model to for the turbines looking basically west. They all look in slightly randomly different directions, which is realistic, but mostly the winds are westerly or southwesterly in the Oberon district. So we've modeled that, but you can turn these off and then turn on this one, which is southwest, and you'll notice that the turbines are now facing a little bit more southerly. We can turn that one off and look at them northwest, and you can see that they're looking northwest. Turn that one off, and if we have an easterly wind, they'd be turned around 380 degrees, and they're now facing easterly. Now we've done that because depending on where you're viewing them from, the way they're facing will actually give a slightly different appearance. So they're the reference ones, and then just by contrast, this is the 300 meter tall turbine. So this is actually an unrealistic turbine. This sort of thing wouldn't be built, but it gives you an idea of the height of the maximum height that the Pines Wind Farm planning permission allows them to build. But the turbines that they would actually build at this height would not look like this. It'd actually be larger than these, but we don't know the details, so we've just modeled this as an interim step. But let's go back to the reference turbine because that's, at this stage, probably more realistic. So that's the aerial view. Let's go back again to Black Springs. So we can just click on our place marker and we zoom back to the oval. And now we want to actually look at how the turbines would look from ground level, not from a helicopter, because most of us don't travel around in a helicopter most of the time. And to do that, we can use what's called street view or terrain view. Now, if we grab the little pegman, the little orange pegman here, and drag him onto the map, you can see that quite a lot of the roads here are lit up in blue, and that means that there are street view photographs that have been taken by a Google vehicle at some stage, probably in the last year or so. These are actual photographs taken from the road. So this gives us a photorealistic view. So we're not going to put him in the oval. We're going to put him right there in the middle of the intersection. And we're put into street view mode. And these are beautiful photographs of beautiful Black Springs. And we can navigate around here. So this control here allows you to look around. So that if you click on these arrows to the left and the right, it will swing the view around. If you click up and down, it pans up and down, but you probably don't want to do that for the purposes of looking at the turbines. So we can do a complete 360 here. Now we're in Black Springs, and the proposed turbines are somewhat to the southeast of Black Springs, so that they'll be in approximately this direction. Obviously, we can't see any in this photograph because this is a real-life photograph and no turbines have been built. So they weren't present when this photograph was taken, and if it's been taken now, they're still not present. But what we can do is swap into what's called terrain mode. And you do that by going up here, and there's a little building next to the man. So the little man means we're in street view mode. Click on the building, and we go into terrain mode. So unfortunately, this does not model all of the trees and everything in the foreground, but it does show you the view accurately as if we're looking over bare ground, and there's the terrain in the distance. So these, in fact, are the hills. And if you look carefully, you can see wind turbines along the horizon there, looking from this intersection in Black Springs. In real life, you can, and this is one of the advantages of having street view, is you can swap back and forward. You'll notice that the horizon is in the same place between the two. So this is an accurate view as if there were no trees or buildings on the surface of the Earth. But you can see in real life from this particular point in Black Springs, you would not be able to see any of those turbines because the nearby trees block it out. But we'll just go back to terrain view, and we'll be ignoring the trees for the moment. So you can see that the turbines are there on the horizon. Now, by default, this view is actually the correct view. In other words, it approximates what you would see with the unaided human eye standing exactly at this intersection if there were no trees in the foreground blocking them. But to get a full impression of what it would look like, you actually need to put your face very close to the screen. In fact, you need to put it approximately half of the screen width away from the screen. Now that's very challenging on a laptop because it means you need to get your face about 10 or 15 centimeters away from the screen, and most older people at least probably can't focus that closely, at least not without their specs. So that is an issue. But to get the proper impression of the relative size and visual impact of these wind turbines from any particular viewpoint, that's what you need to do. Now, there's a solution to that, and that is to use a larger screen. And fortunately, most laptops or computers now have HDMI connections. You can connect them up to your large flat screen TV, which obviously is much wider, say, call it 1.2 meters wide, in which case your eyes should be positioned about 60 centimeters away from the screen. So if you sat right in front of the screen, just like you tell children not to do, but if you did that, you would get the correct proportions and view of these wind turbines. So that's a limitation of this technology. Ideally, we could all have visual reality or augmented reality headsets, and it would be much better. But given the free software, and we're doing what we can with this to provide you with realistic, accurate views to the best of our ability of the proposed turbines. However, what you shouldn't do is zoom in if you want the accurate view. But what we will do now is actually zoom in just so we can actually assure ourselves that we can actually see the turbines in a little bit more detail. So we just pan back there a bit. There we are. Put the horizon in the center, and you can see that if we zoom in, there are the turbines clearly visible on the ridge and on the horizon. Just to illustrate the effect of the different sets of models, so that's with the wind prevailing from the west, so most of the turbines are facing towards Black Springs. We can turn those off over here and turn on the southwest. You can see they've rotated around a bit, turn those off. Northwest, they're directly facing Black Springs, and if they're from the east, the wind from the east, they're facing back the other way. And then we can also put on the 300 meter tall turbines. Now, as I mentioned, these are somewhat unrealistic. There are no 8 megawatt turbines that are 300 meters tall, but there are larger turbines which are nearly 300 meters tall, and if the Pines Wind Farm developers substituted those larger ones, they would be approximately this size, but with a larger rotor span. But as I said, we're providing this just as an indication at this stage until we get more and better information from the Pines Wind Farm developers about exactly what sort of turbines they are proposing, and they haven't provided that information at this stage. So we'll turn that off and we'll go back just to the reference 8 megawatt turbine with a westerly wind. Okay, so that's zoomed in just to so you can actually see some of the detail, and we'll go to another place where we can see the turbines up close in a second. Now, you might wonder how you get back to the correct zoom level, and in fact it's actually quite difficult just while you remain in this ground view. So the best thing to do is actually to exit ground view and go back to map view, and then go back into ground view by dragging little pegman back again. And we're now facing sort of north, so we'll just turn around so we're facing the right direction to see the turbines, which are approximately that way. Yep, and we go into terrain view, and there they are on the horizon again. All right, so some of the other things you can do is vary the lighting as well. So up here in the toolbar, there's all these tools. You can make new placemats, place marks, add lines, polygons, measure things, and so on. But one of the nice things you can do is actually set the lighting to reflect different times of day. So if you click on this little tool here, it brings up this slider, and now you can actually slide back through time, and it will adjust the lighting as it was at that particular point in day. So now 8 a.m. going backwards, you can see there we are. There's nighttime, so here's dawn. You can the sky is cloudy, but if on that date it was a clear sky, it will actually show clear sky and a beautiful set of stars and the Milky Way and everything. It's quite very, very nicely done. But you can see at dawn we advance forward, and there are the wind turbines. Let's go back, and we can actually see sunset. The previous day, so we're going backwards in time, and there's sunset, and you can see that the turbines actually lit up a brilliant crimson as the sun sets in the distance. So if they are in fact ever built, and you have a clear view of them like this, they will light up quite spectacularly at sunset. Because they do tend to be painted white. All right, so that's some of the other things you do. We'll just turn that off for the moment and just have the standard lighting for now. Let's exit ground view in Black Springs, and rather than stand in the middle of the intersection, which is not very realistic, let's travel around a bit and find a random property somewhere here in Black Springs, and examine how you can look at things from a property. So we know going up this road, sorry I don't know the name of it, there's a bit of a hill, and you can see over here this property, they don't have a lot of trees here. So if we stood over here, it's probably a more realistic view because there aren't a lot of intervening trees. So let's go back to Street View here and put our little man here. And you can see that from Street View, the horizon's blocked out by the local trees. Toggling between Terrain View, there are the wind turbines here. You can see them all across here. But in Street View, the trees get in the way. We can, however, let's just move around a bit. Let's go up this person's driveway. I'm sorry, I don't know whose property this is. I'm sorry for invading your privacy like this. Now in Street View, you can move up just by double clicking. Sorry, here's the move tool. You can click on this tool to move around. But when you're in Street View, you're actually constrained to where they took the photo from. So you don't get very far, and when you unclick it, you go back. So we can't actually leave the street in Street View. But this is actually 29 Dog Rocks Road. Apologies to anyone who lives here. But in Terrain View, we can actually move around. We're not constrained to the street. So here's the driveway of that house. So we'll proceed up the driveway. You can see it's not 3D or photorealistic, but you can actually double click to move around. And you can see we're on here's the house. So let's say we're standing on the veranda of the house, which might be, oops, we've gone way too far. We have to go back now. So we'll turn around. Oh, let's look from here. So we'll look from here. Okay. We'll turn around this way. And there, you can see that there are some wind turbines on the horizon visible there. So that's looking at at it from a particular property. So this is a sort of view if you go away from the streets where there are street view photos. And if we click on the little person there, nothing happens. It just flicks back to this terrain view. Okay, let's now go somewhere else. So we'll exit ground view, and now let's go to the prison farm. Now the prison farm is located right smack bang in the middle of the proposed Pines wind farm, because it's right in the middle of the state forestry areas where the turbines are proposed to be installed or built. So let's go there. Okay, and here you are at the prison farm, and you can see there's a turbine, there's a turbine, there's a turbine, there's a turbine. These are the proposed locations around the prison farm. So the staff and residents or inmates at the prison farm will have quite spectacular views of these turbines if they are in fact ever built. So let's go down and look at terrain view. If we pull our little peg man, you can see that there are no blue streets highlighted because the Google cars didn't actually drive along here. You can see that actually up here on, it looks like Mount Werong Road, there is a blue line, so there would be street view from there, but there's none from the actual prison farm. None, so we'll just use terrain view. So we'll drop our little man there. And you can see that if we look around, we are surrounded by the wind turbines. So this is the 8 megawatt, 192 meter tall version, which is, sorry, I should be looking around this one. We pan around and we can see turbines all around us. And that's the sort of view, possibly with trees and buildings obstructing from various parts, but there'll certainly be parts of the wind farm. And you'll see the turbines approximately this size. If you go up very close to your screen, half the screen width away, that's the size that you will see them from the prison farm. And you get a sense that, particularly for the ones which are very close, a bit of a sense of looming. And this is a known problem with very large structures like wind turbines. When you're up close to them, they tower above you, and you get a sense of what's called looming as they surround you. All right, so that gives a bit of an impression from the prison farm. All right, now let's go back to the Oberon Township, and let's go to the Falls Hill Lookout in Oberon. So we'll click on that. We exit ground view, and we swing back to Oberon. Actually, no, let's not look from there. Let's go to the golf course. So we'll actually zoom out. There's the Oberon Township, the Borg's factory here, Westmount Road, and here's the golf course. So here we are, North and Bell Street, which is just on the corner of the golf course. Let's go there. And that has a view over Oberon Dam, of course. So, say we're say in this house here on the veranda. So let's pull little Pegman down, and we've got street view. So we'll actually have real life photographs. That's what it looks like on that corner. We'll just turn around so we're facing south, since we know the wind turbines are that way. And if you're standing on the ground on the road here at that corner, you probably won't see any turbines because the trees in the foreground block that particular view. But if we go to terrain view, those trees disappear, and we can see out over the lake, and there's the horizon. And now you notice that at the moment we don't actually see any turbines. We just make sure that they're turned on. Yes. And we'll just scan around and make sure, oops, wrong control, this one. And we're looking in the right direction. Yep, and if you look carefully at the horizon, they're actually not really visible. So that's interesting. So that also tells us something. So now let's go back to the Falls Hill lookout. Yeah, we'll put Pegman down here. And we'll look south. And in fact, they are barely visible. I'm actually just going to turn on the taller 300 meter one. Yes, they are visible there. Okay, so from the Falls Hill lookout, the turbines, let's look at the street view just to see what that looks like. No, we don't have street view there, so we don't know if there are any trees in the distance, but since there's a lookout, there probably aren't any trees, so we can actually see to the horizon from this lookout. I don't think I've ever been up there, but right on the horizon, there are turbines visible just. And if you get very close to the screen, so that would actually mimic your real view, you can see them faintly in the distance. I'm actually just going to zoom in. This actually destroys the veracity of the view just to prove to you that they are there. And if we zoom in, you can see that there's quite a lot of them visible from this lookout. So particularly with binoculars or similar, you'll be able to see them very clearly, and with the naked eye, they will be visible on the horizon from this lookout in the Oberon township. All right, I think that's probably enough. You get the idea. So the nice thing is you can go to any address. So you can type in your own address up here in the search bar, and let's go to the Reef Road, Reef Road, Oberon, and we'll search for that. There it is. All right, and let's have a look from here. So we'll just say, we'll put our little Pegman here on the Reef Road. This is actual street view. We'll rotate round so that we're looking in the right direction. Probably around this way. And we'll go to terrain view. So obviously we can't see any in this. These are photographs. Terrain view, and you can see that there are some turbines just visible on the horizon there, but again they're quite small. All right, I think that's enough, but you get the idea. So this tool allows you to go to any location in the surrounding area and determine whether you'll be able to see the turbines, and also give you an impression of how large they would appear in your view, particularly if you're viewing the screen correctly at half the screen width distance from the screen. And as I said, I'd recommend connecting your laptop to a large flat screen TV and sitting around 60 centimeters or so from the TV to get with Google Earth Pro in full screen mode to get the approximately correct perspective and view from these 3D models. All right, thanks for watching. Sorry this went on a bit and a bit rambling, but I thought it might be useful to record a video demonstration. As the Pines Wind Farm developers release more information, we'll update these 3D models to reflect that better information. I hope they do provide better information about the types of wind turbines they are proposing, not just the locations, and there'll be more in due course. We're also working on other maps which show the view shed. That is from above, all the points on the map that you'll be able to see the proposed turbines from, together with some metrics of visual impact. So these are numerical scores which rate the visual impact at any particular point on the map between almost nothing to major visual impact based on the proposed wind farm. Those are still in preparation, but they should be available in the near future from the Oberon Citizen Science Network website. So thank you, and bye everyone.